I'm Wendy Harper, 34 years old, a single mother, a mid-level IT contractor, and the youngest child in a family that has always treated me like a mistake they couldn't undo. I grew up in a house where obedience mattered more than love, where my older sister was protected and praised while I learned early how to stay quiet, useful, invisible. I was the one who moved out first, worked 2 jobs, raised my daughter alone. Yet somehow, I was always the disappointment, the unstable one, the problem they whispered about. I told myself I'd escaped that role, that distance and adulthood had finally set me free. I was wrong, because the night my parents came to my house, the night they put their hands on me while my daughter watched in terror, wasn't the beginning of my breaking point. It was the moment I realized someone had been waiting for me to leave. The slap landed fast. Open hand. Her wedding ring split my cheekbone. My body twisted toward the impact, smashing my temple against the corner of the bookshelf. Hard. Too hard. Blood hit the floor with a soft flip. Then another. Then another. Ungrateful brat, my mother hissed, grabbing her purse like she was heading to the salon instead of walking out of a crime scene. You think you're too good for us now? I couldn't speak. Couldn't think. My head rang with static. My mouth filled with iron. Behind her, my daughter, 8-year-old Luna, stood frozen at the threshold, barefoot, shaking, eyes wide with something I had never wanted her to feel: horror. "Mom," she screamed, lunging forward. But my father, Martin, moved faster. His arms shot out, blocking her path. "Stay out of this, little girl," he snapped. "If your mother had a spine like Cassidy, none of this would have happened." Cassidy. My perfect older sister. The angel. The parasite. She'd burned through her 3rd lease in 6 months. Again. And, of course, I was supposed to save her. Again. Because that's what Wendy the Week was for. The room smelled like blood and cheap perfume. The overhead light buzzed. Something inside me cracked. I pushed off the wall. "You need to leave," I whispered. Dad stepped toward me. "We'll leave when you wire the money. Until then." I said, "Get out." My voice cut like glass. Cold. Final. He blinked. Then laughter. Mom cackled. Loud. Harsh. Empty. "Or what?" she said. "Call the cops? On your own parents? Don't be pathetic." I didn't answer. I walked to Luna, took her hand. We turned. We left. Upstairs, I locked the bedroom door. My hands trembled on the brass knob. I kept hearing the slap, the crunch of wood, the laugh. Luna lay next to me, holding my fingers tight. "Why do Grandma and Grandpa hate you?" she asked in the dark. I stared at the ceiling. Couldn't answer. Outside, I heard them rummaging through my kitchen. Glass. Drawers. Footsteps too familiar. Some families pass down heirlooms. Mine passed down control. Morning. I dressed Luna in silence, covered my eye with sunglasses, and slipped out the back door. My keys shook in my hand as we passed the trash bins. Once she was in school, I didn't turn toward my office. I turned toward the courthouse. For once, I didn't second-guess it. I still had the medical report from last year. The bruises. The ER visit. I added last night's photos. The blood on the rug. My swollen face. Luna's terrified expression in the background. The court clerk didn't blink when I handed her the folder. Seattle had seen worse. But what she didn't know, what no one did, was that I had been preparing for this for years. Every bonus, every freelance gig, every extra hour, they weren't just savings. They were strategy. 3 months ago, I finalized the purchase of a small property under an LLC. That property was my parents' house. They didn't know. Yet. I walked out of the courthouse. The clouds were low. A faint drizzle speckled my arms. Across the street, a man leaned against a black sedan. He wasn't smoking, wasn't on his phone, just watching. When our eyes met, he looked away, but too slowly. My breath caught. I turned. Like fast. At home, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. No voicemail. Another text. They warned you this would happen if you stopped cooperating. No name, no threat, just the certainty that someone knew everything. Luna was in her room, quiet.
Drawing.
I turned to the window and checked the lock. Then checked it again. Then again. Mom, Luna's voice was soft. I turned. She didn't look up from her sketchbook. Her hand hovered above the paper. There's someone standing at the back door.
Đã dùng 74% bộ nhớ nếu hết dung lượng lưu trữ, bạn sẽ không thể tạo, chỉnh sửa và tải tệp lên.
The man at the back door was gone before I got there. I flung it open. Empty porch. Cold rain. But Luna's drawing on the windowsill had vanished. I locked the door.
Twice.
Then wedged a chair under the handle. Nothing had been taken. Nothing broken. Just the presence, that electric hum you feel when someone's been in your home. He was standing there, Luna whispered behind me. He didn't blink.
We didn't stay.
10 minutes later, I was shoving an overnight bag into the trunk, Luna in her booster seat, too quiet. Her purple hoodie was damp. Her socks didn't match. We left without breakfast. I drove in silence to the one place no one knew I still had access to, Riley's apartment, an old friend now out of state. She owed me a favor. A big one. I parked in the underground lot, looked over my shoulder 3 times before shutting the car off. No one followed. At least not visibly. Inside the apartment, I yanked the blind shut. Every window. Every room. Even the one with no view, just bricks. Luna sat on the edge of the pull-out couch, swinging her feet. You're safe here, I said. She didn't answer. Just kept tracing circles on the fabric with one finger. I opened my laptop. Logged into the home security app. One new file available. I clicked. It was footage from the living room. Time-stamped 11:43 p.m. last night. I hit play. There I was. Alone. Standing still. Blood on my face. Eyes wide. Mouth moving but no sound. I looked like I was screaming. But I hadn't made a sound. I scrubbed the timeline. All other footage was missing. Not corrupted. Deleted. Only the one clip remained, me, looking mad. Broken. Dangerous. Reality doesn't have to be true. It just has to be believable. That was something Diane once said. I thought it was about politics. Now I realized she meant control. I grabbed my phone. Called Trevor Blackwood, the neighbor. He answered on the 3rd ring. You saw it, I said. Define it, he replied. The fight. The slap. My dad pushing me.
Pause.
You mean the part where you lost it and screamed at your kid? He said flatly. My breath caught. What are you talking about? I've got the video. I'll send it when I feel like it. You recorded it?
He laughed.
Let's just say it was smart to be watching. I almost dropped the phone.
Distraction.
Misdirection. While I was focused on survival, someone had been watching for a different reason. I ended the call. My palms were sweating. I turned to Luna. Do you remember the man you saw? I asked. She nodded. He had black gloves. And something shiny in his pocket. My skin tightened. I scanned through my call history. A blocked number had called twice the night before.
No voicemail.
Then another text pinged. Next time, we won't knock. No name. No contact info. But attached was a still image.
Luna.
Asleep. In her bedroom. Last night. My legs gave out. I hit the floor before I realized I'd collapsed. She was sleeping. I was in the kitchen. The doors were locked. And still someone had been close enough to take that photo. I showed it to no one. Not even Luna. By noon, I was at the precinct downtown. Officer Green took my statement without expression. When I mentioned the photo, he leaned back. Do you have a timestamp? Look at her pajamas. It was last night. That's not enough for a warrant. You don't need a warrant. You need common sense. He gave me that look. The one that says, we've heard this before. At 3:07 p.m., I got an alert. Attempted login to my online banking. Unauthorized.
Failed.
Then another. This time successful. I locked the account manually. They're not just after Luna. At 4:26 p.m., I got an email from Luna's school counselor, Marisol Cruz. Subject: Concern, Luna's drawing. I opened the attachment. It was a crayon sketch. 3 stick figures. One tall with red scribbles on the face, me. One taller, with big arms and Grandpa written across the chest. And Luna,
crying,
in a room full of red walls. But our house doesn't have red walls. I clicked to the next drawing. It showed a window. Outside the window, another figure.
black hat,
No face. They were watching her, too. That night, I checked the home camera logs again. One clip had reappeared. I downloaded it instantly. It was just audio. But the voice was mine, whispering something over and over. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Only problem? I never said that. Not that night. Not ever. Someone was rewriting the truth.
clip,
Frame by frame. And I was running out of time. Someone's building a case against me, and they're using my daughter to do it.
đã dùng 74% bộ nhớ nếu hết dung lượng lưu trữ, bạn sẽ không thể tạo, chỉnh sửa và tải tệp lên.
I left Luna with Marisol, the only person I trusted who didn't share my DNA. It was just for an hour. Maybe 2. I'll be back before lunch, I said, kissing her forehead. No one else picks you up. No one. Marisol nodded once. Go get proof, Wendy. I drove to Dale Everett's office, my old boss from Cascade Cyber. The only man I knew who could crack files faster than most people could blink. His lobby was glass and chrome.
Cold.
Empty. Inside, he looked up from behind a triple monitor setup, eyes already narrowed. You look like hell, he said. I need you to pull metadata from this. I tossed him the USB. Someone's editing my life. Cut to black screen. Cigarette smoke in the server room. 3 minutes later, Dale spun around in his chair. This wasn't recorded on your system, he said. It's made to look like it was. But it's a splice. Spliced with something else. What's something else? Something older. Dated 2 years ago. Different software. Different compression pattern. He turned one monitor. Side by side, 2 audio spectrums played. The newer clip of me whispering apologies. The older one. Silent. Identical tone. But layered.
Faked.
I never said those words. I murmured. You didn't, Dale confirmed. But someone wanted you to believe you did. I swallowed hard. Can you trace the source? He nodded slowly, then tapped a few keys. Screen blinked. A string of numbers. IP address. Registered to Monroe Systems. Elias's workplace. I didn't say a word as I stood up. My heart moved faster than my thoughts. He said he wanted peace. Said Luna deserved stability. Said he wasn't like my parents. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was worse. I parked 3 blocks from his apartment. Watched his building from behind the wheel for 10 straight minutes. No movement.
No lights.
Then door opens. He steps out. Elias Monroe. Same jacket. Same shoes. Same smirk I remembered from the custody hearings. I slid out of the car.
Vike it fast.
Hey! I shouted. He stopped. His mouth curled. Wendy. You sent it. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't lie. He shrugged. You're spiraling again. I got close. Too close. I swear. I said, voice low, if you try to take her from me. I don't need to take anything, he cut in. You're doing a good enough job losing her on your own. Then he walked away. I stood there, alone, in the rain. I heard Luna's voice in my head. He had something shiny in his pocket. Later that night, a knock at the door. Not the front. The side. I looked through the peephole. No one. Then something slid under the door. I picked it up. A folded piece of construction paper. Crayons. Luna's handwriting. But it wasn't from Luna. Inside, one line. Meet me. Midnight.
No caps.
A time. A location. Underground parking. 4th and Pine. My stomach dropped. I showed Dale. This is a trap, he said. I nodded. I'm going anyway. At 11:50 p.m., I was parked 1 block away, armed with a hidden recorder, a body camera, and a plan. Sometimes you have to walk into the fire just to prove you can still burn, I whispered to myself. Midnight. I walked down the ramp into the garage. Lights flickered above. Shadows stretched long and thin across the concrete. I turned the corner and froze. Not Elias. Not Cassidy. Diane. Standing between two pillars. Gun in hand. Gloves tight. Face pale and furious. I didn't want it to be you, she said. What the hell is this? I demanded. You made me do this. You kept pushing. She raised the gun. I moved. Fast. Tackled her before she could fire. We hit the ground hard. The weapon skidded away. She clawed at me. I elbowed her throat. Rolled. Her knee hit my ribs. My hand found the gun. I pointed it. Trembling. You should have stayed broken, Wendy, she hissed, spitting blood. That's all you were ever good for. Sirens. Headlights flooding down the ramp. I backed off. Cops pulled up. 2 officers. Guns drawn. I dropped the weapon. Raised both hands. Breathed. Alive. They cuffed her. She didn't fight. Just smiled. In the squad car, an officer leaned in. Ma'am, you may want to know, your sister filed a temporary restraining order this morning. Claimed you threatened her and your daughter. I stared straight ahead. My voice was flat. They were ready to erase me, like I never existed.
Đã dùng 74% bộ nhớ nếu hết dung lượng lưu trữ, bạn sẽ không thể tạo, chỉnh sửa và tải tệp lên.
Diane didn't say a word when they pulled her from the garage floor. She just smiled at me like she knew something I didn't. 2 hours later, she was out on bail. Seattle moved fast when you had money, or secrets, or both. I was the one who had to explain to Luna why her grandmother attacked me. You said she used to braid your hair, she whispered.
She did, I said.
Then she started pulling it. Back at Riley's apartment, I kept the lights low. Every window stayed shut. A knock startled me. Too hard. Too fast. I grabbed a kitchen knife. But it was a delivery man. Just flowers. No note. Just white lilies.
Luna hat's lilies.
I never told anyone that. At midnight, my email pinged. No subject line. No sender name. Just a photo.
Luna.
Asleep. But something was off. Her head was turned the wrong way. The wall behind her was red. Not the pale blue of her room. I zoomed in. Curtains. Faded, almost burgundy. An old lamp. A shadow in the corner. She'd never been in that room. Except the drawing. Her drawing from school. Red walls. Big man. Crying. She wasn't imagining it. She remembered it. The metadata showed coordinates. Rural. About 20 miles outside Seattle. I searched the address. The Red House. An old property tied to a family trust. The trust name? Whitlock and Monroe Legacy Holdings. I stared at the screen. My chest locked. Whitlock was my mother's maiden name. Monroe was Elias. A legacy trust. Set up before Luna was born. By 4 a.m., I was driving. The GPS glitched halfway there. I switched to paper directions. Thick forest lined both sides of the road. 1 streetlight every mile. Then the house. 3 stories. Paint peeling. Curtains drawn. Like no one lived there. Or someone never stopped living there. I parked behind a shed. Phone on silent. Flashlight low. I crept around the back. Found a door slightly ajar. Inside smelled like rot and bleach. Each room was worse than the last. Furniture draped in sheets. Mold on the windows. But upstairs. Children's clothes. Folded. Too small for Luna. Too clean for this place. Drawers full of hospital forms. Most blacked out. But one name caught my eye. Eva Monroe. I froze. Eva. Not Luna. Not Cassidy. Eva. I didn't have a niece. Or a cousin. No records online. No birth certificate.
No obituary.
Only files in this house. Only one line scribbled in pencil next to her name. Permanent reassignment approved, March 4th. I backed up. Stepped on a toy. A small rubber duck. It squeaked. A sound upstairs. I turned. Footsteps. Not mine. I killed the flashlight. Held my breath. The noise moved down the stairs. Slow. Deliberate. I ducked into a side room. Hidden. I waited. My heart hit my ribs like fists. A voice whispered, too faint to catch. Then silence. Then a soft sound.
Childlike.
Mommy. The voice didn't come from the stairs. It came from behind me. From the closet. I reached slowly. Hand trembling. Opened the door. Empty. No child. Just a cassette recorder. Still spinning. Still playing. Looping that one word. Mommy. Someone wanted me to hear it. To react.
To be seen.
To be caught. I ran. Out the back. Into the woods.
No headlights.
No cars. Just me and the cold. When I reached the road, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. Should have left it alone. I called Dale. I found something.
Someone.
Eva Monroe. He went silent. Then, I've seen that name. Not on paper. In code. She's tagged in a digital ledger we uncovered last year. Anonymous custody transfers. Masked by legal guardianship claims. What does that mean? It means Eva might have existed and disappeared and no one noticed. Or she never existed, but her name's being used to cover something else. My mind spun. What if Luna wasn't the first? What if they'd done this before? I turned off the highway. Parked behind an abandoned gas station. Slept in the front seat. Luna texted me in the morning. Did you have a bad dream? I didn't reply. Because the dream wasn't the problem. The nightmare was real. Mommy? A small voice called out from the dark.
Đã dùng 74% bộ nhớ nếu hết dung lượng lưu trữ, bạn sẽ không thể tạo, chỉnh sửa và tải tệp lên.
The drive back to Seattle was quiet. Too quiet. Even the GPS stopped speaking halfway in. Just frozen on the screen. I glanced in the rear view. No one behind me. But it didn't feel like I was alone. Dale picked up on the first ring. I found her name, I said. Eva Monroe. Tied to a trust. Medical documents. A reassigned date. I've seen that name, he said. Not in print. In code. Encrypted lists hidden behind foundation firewalls. Tied to temporary guardianships. Custody shifts that shouldn't exist. Luna's name? Not yet. But one of the routing paths mirrors hers. It's buried, but it's there. He sent me an address. His office. Be here in 20, he said. And bring anything you haven't shared. The elevator ride up was broken silence. Dim light. One camera blinking red. Third floor. Left hall.
Door IR.
I pushed it open. Dale stood next to a projection screen, scrolling a massive web of files. Photos.
Names.
Transfers. Ages. They've done this before, he said. For girls. One boy. All under 10. All vanished through legal channels. All guardians tied to a shared LLC. He pointed. At the top of the chart, Cassidy Harper. My sister. You're telling me Cassidy is part of this?
No.
I'm telling you she might be the front, Dale replied. The names on the LLC vary. But Cassidy signs the intake paperwork for every child. My skin went cold. I sat down.
Fast.
You don't steal kids through violence, Dale said. You do it with paperwork. With court orders. With concerned relatives and clean psychiatric accusations. You still think this started with Luna? I asked. He shook his head. This started before you ever left home. I drove to the school. Luna was at recess. Marisol met me near the staff lounge. She's okay, she said, but her voice was tight. Though she's drawing someone new now.
Who?
A woman with silver gloves. Hair like yours. But she says it's not you. I asked if I could see the drawing. It was crude.
Childlike.
But the woman was holding something. A red folder. I flipped it over. In the top corner, a word written backward in crayon. Intake. I called Cassidy. No answer. I drove to her condo. Empty. Furniture gone. Utilities shut off.
She'd vanished.
On the counter, though, one photo left behind.
Luna.
Standing in front of a red building. Not the red house. Somewhere else. But familiar. I scanned the background. A sign in the window. Everton Behavioral Services. A private clinic on the edge of Tacoma. I was there in less than 2 hours. Gray skies. A long gated driveway. No name on the buzzer. I pressed it. A voice. Do you have an appointment? I used Cassidy's name.
Pause.
Gate opened. Inside, white walls. Sterile lighting. A receptionist with too perfect a smile. Cassidy won't be back until tomorrow, she said. I'm here about my daughter. Another pause. Then, room 4. Left wing.
No one walked me there.
I opened the door. The room was empty, except for a file on the table. Labeled, Luna Harper, Pre-Adjudication Assessment. Inside, fake notes. Possible dissociative symptoms in mother. Allegations of delusion. Recommended emergency guardianship transfer. Signed by Cassidy Harper. Co-signed by Elias Monroe. I stumbled back. They were trying to take her legally.
No abduction. No ban.
Just a signature. I turned the corner fast. Slipped down a stairwell. Out the back. Onto gravel. Then movement. Behind me, a flash of hair.
A camera.
I ran. Got in the car. Locked it. My hands shook too hard to fit the key. The engine finally caught. I peeled out, tires screaming. Later that night, a courier arrived at Riley's apartment. A plain white envelope. Inside, a child's mitten. Luna's. From last winter. How did they have it?
The phone rang.
Blocked number. A woman's voice I didn't recognize. You've got until Friday to comply. Comply with what? Custody settlement. Files already submitted. The court date is set. Your presence is optional. They weren't stealing her. They were owning her.
Piece by piece.
Paper by paper. They were ready to erase me. Like I never existed.
Đã dùng 74% bộ nhớ nớ hết dung lượng lưu trữ, bạn sẽ không thể tạo, chỉnh sửa và tải tệp lên.
The courthouse lights were harsh.
Too bright.
Too final. I stood at the back, clutching the file they told me would be useless. Photos. Emails. Video metadata. Signatures.
Audio timestamps.
All of it.
Real.
Not doctored. Not erased.
Real.
Judge Hardwick didn't look impressed. She never did. I opened my mouth, then closed it, then spoke again. This isn't just a custody case, I said, voice low but steady. This is a conspiracy. The courtroom was silent. So silent you could hear the hum of the air vents. I showed them the recordings, the fake video, the altered files, the trust ledger connecting Harper and Monroe Holdings. And then I played the audio clip on the USB. Not the fake one. The original. The one I found buried between layers of duplicates. It wasn't me. It was my mother. And it was deliberate. A whisper looped. Make her lose herself. Put it in her voice. Rewrite her reality. Control, I said after it faded, isn't about force. It's about convincing someone they have no power. I remembered something once told to me. The most dangerous prison is the one you build in your own mind. Today, I was walking out of that prison. Elias sat to the side, expression blank. Cassidy was pale, trembling. Behind them, Diane's eyes flicked between the exhibits and the judge. She looked tired, not defeated, just angry. The judge sifted through pages. She looked at me, then at them. Ms. Harper, she said, this court does not tolerate manipulation or fraud. She called in the guards. Diane stood, refused to plead, refused to speak, just stared at me, as if she thought we were still in the old living room, as if none of this was real. Behind me, Luna peeked from the gallery. Her eyes were wide, but clear, not afraid anymore. Someone once said, fear is the mind killer. Luna was learning that early. Outside, reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. I wrapped an arm around Luna's shoulder. She didn't flinch. Not once. Back at the precinct, Diane and Elias were booked. Cassidy was taken for questioning. Her eyes darted to me in the booking line, as if she expected me to attack, or cry, or relent. I did none of those things. I just watched. In the hallway, an officer approached. "Miss Harper," he said, handing me a sealed envelope. "For your daughter." Inside was a stack of drawings. Luna's drawings. Red walls. Strange figures. But in the corner of each page, tiny words, almost illegible. "Safe. Mom is truth. No lies." I blinked back tears. Not because I was free, but because she knew. She saw it too. 2 weeks later, we were on a small plain. Mount Rainier in the distance. Snowcaps gleaming. "Where are we going?" Luna asked. "Somewhere quiet," I replied. "Can we see a red house again?" I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "Only from far away." She smiled. Not the trembling smile from before. A real one. We rented a cabin with tall windows. I unlocked them. Let the breeze in. It smelled like pine. And new beginnings. That night, I tucked Luna in. She reached up. "Mom," she said. "Yes." Did they really think they could change us? I paused. Then whispered, "They forgot one thing." She tilted her head. "What's that?" I leaned over and kissed her forehead. "We write our own endings." I went downstairs. Opened the envelope the officer gave me. Inside it was a photo. Not of evidence. Not a courtroom. Just us. Taken the morning after the hearing.
Luna smiling.
Me holding her hand. At the edge of the courthouse steps. Sunlight behind us. For the first time in a long time, no shadows. Just light. I folded the photo. Set it on the mantel. And for the first time in a long time I exhaled. Not fear. Not tension. Just air. Some say the truth sets you free. Others say freedom is learning to trust your own voice again. Tonight, I learned both. And when I looked at Luna, asleep with her favorite blanket tangled around her feet, I knew we were no longer victims. We were survivors. We were witnesses to our own survival. And that was our final truth.